All right. Okay. Hello there. We're back. It's time to get this started. I believe today we are starting section 5, and it's mental repercussions and that little voice in your head that gets created from isolation. It doesn't happen to everybody. It does happen. Like when you start going crazy, you try to fill in that gap. But we'll get started with that. Again, can't really stream that long because this little issue I'm having with my shoulder, but it is what it is. So there won't be a stream tomorrow because I have to do the 24-hour shift at work, which is gonna suck. So, but I do have a 4-day weekend coming up, so bear with me. All right, so let's think. The mental repercussions of becoming isolated, on top of you coming up with a presence inside of your head to keep you company. Um, human mind. The human mind isn't built for silence. Because again, we're social creatures, so we need companionship in some way or form. It's built for noise, laughter. It's built for noise, yeah. It's built for noise. Yeah, laughter and conversation. And companionship. Y'all get the gist. When that disappears, the mind starts to panic. Let me actually put the lofty music down a little bit. Here we go. Mind starts to panic. Can I give an example of this? I don't think I need to, but if I had to give an example of this, think about your mind replaying memories in your head over and over and over again. Like, damn, I had a lot of fun with my friends. Yeah, that would actually work, but I don't really think we need to put an example here. It's kind of self-explanatory. When that disappears, the mind starts to panic. All right, well, we'll put it in there. So, for example, you can potentially start replaying memories in your head. Just to feel someone's presence again. Oh, let me take a little swig. Cherish your livers, people. You only get one. As mentioned, unfortunately, I'm not streaming tomorrow. It's gonna be a very long day. Just sitting down doing nothing. But um, today's Tuesday. Yeah, today's Tuesday, so I'll do it Wednesday, Thursday. will be the last day for the week for us. Then we'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Wait, no. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, it's a 4 day. So yeah, we don't have to go back to work until Wednesday. So, ooh, that's good. The human mind isn't built for silence. It's built for noise, for laughter, conversation, and companionship. When that disappears, the mind starts to panic. For example, you can potentially start replaying memories in your head just to feel someone's presence again. Yeah, that works. Hmm. What more should we put here? Okay, let's be a little cheeky. Yeah, we can be a little cheeky here. So, you start talking to yourself. Start talking to yourself to fill the quiet. Yes, fill the quiet. Fill the quiet. You start talking to yourself to fill the quiet. The longer the silence stretches out, because the end there's no one. You're talking to yourself and no one to hear you. And again, I'm doing this just because I have good range of motion, but it feels like it's like a bony pain. That's just all my nerves getting like scrunched in right now. Old age is scary, people. Old age is definitely scary. The longer the silence stretches out, the longer the silence stretches out, the louder those thoughts become. To the point it feels like they're taking a life of their own. No, they start taking a life of their own. The human mind isn't built for silence, it's built for noise, for laughter, conversation, and companionship. When that disappears, the mind starts to panic. For example, you can potentially start to replay memories in your head just to feel someone's presence again. You start talking to yourself to fill in the quiet. But the longer the silence stretches out, the louder those thoughts become. They start taking a life of their own. When isolation, when isolation, when isolation isolation lingers. Yes, when isolation lingers. Actually, lingers. Yeah, when isolation lingers, the brain begins to act up. Because again, we're social creatures, so it starts looking for connection. It begins searching for connection. It begins searching for connections in places it shouldn't. Such as shadows, because you start seeing I saw an Ed and Eddie meme earlier. You wake up at 3 a.m. and you're like squinting. You try to figure out, hey, is that a person or just the coat rack? So shadows. I mentioned this before. The howling wind could possibly seem like people talking. So we'll say with whispers. And whispers. Or the creak of a floorboard. Yeah, the faint creak of a floorboard. Faint creak of a floorboard. We'll like a few more minutes, then we'll start wrapping things up. So like I said, I'm not trying to fuck around to find out what this. That's like even this in this position, like typing out like this, it's kind of putting my arm in a very awkward position. Because if it's a pushing motion, or if my arms are like this, I start feeling it. We gotta deal with this for like 2 weeks until we figure out what the hell's going on. Because sure, well, we get the army has good benefits, but yeah, things take time. So my MRI is in like 2 weeks. That shit sucks. All right. When isolation lingers, the brain begins to act up. It begins searching for connections and places to shut it, in shadows, in whispers, or the faint creak of floorboard. Of the floorboard. You start to hear things that aren't there. You start to hear things that aren't there. And yeah, it's hallucinations or depending on where you are, mirages. And sometimes they even appear. Quotation marks. I can't even spell appear right. How the fuck? Sometimes they even appear. It's not. You're not. You're not going crazy yet. You're not going crazy. Just yet. It's your brain's protection mechanism. Yeah, it's a mechanism that your brain uses. So it's your brain. It's your brain trying to protect you, pretty much, from being alone. It's your brain trying to protect you from being alone. Yeah, in a sense, it creates company. In a sense, it creates company. It gives silence a face. Ooh, yeah, that's good. All right, let's see what we have, and we'll wrap it up for tonight. Again, I do apologize, but yeah, these streams gotta be slow until we figure out the fuck's going on with this. Excuse my French. The human mind isn't built for silence. It's built for noise, for laughter, conversation, and companionship. When that disappears, the mind starts to panic. For example, you could potentially start to replay memories in your head just to feel someone's presence again. You start talking to yourself to fill in the quiet. But the longer the silence stretches out, the louder those thoughts become. They start taking a life of their own. When isolation lingers, the brain begins to act up. It begins searching for connections in places it shouldn't. Shadows and whispers, or the faint creak of the floorboard. You start to hear things that aren't there, and sometimes they even appear. You're not going crazy just yet. It's your brain trying to protect you from being alone. In a sense, it creates company. It gives silence a face. That sounded good. All right, good stuff. But like I said, unfortunately, I can't stream tomorrow because I gotta do a long ass shift, 5:30 till they let me go home. But we do have a 4-day weekend coming up because of the holiday, so good stuff. I'll see people in a couple of days with this. See ya. Have a good one. Bye bye.